And good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns. Well, 15 minutes here on YouTube, and then we'll be moving over to Odyssey right after that. My name's Tom Luongo. It is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, and the reeing heard around the world is, well, kind of awesome, actually. God almighty. Oh my God, it's hilarious, actually. I'm not literally shaking. It's literally happening. They're gonna just like, I know. Well, you know, Roe v. Wade was always frankly horseshit in the first place, and the SCOTUS has finally come to their freaking senses. So, you know, it's not even a matter of harvesting liberal tears, Tim Cutler, or anything like that. It's just that they cannot even begin to fathom that they're not they're dead as people. They're just dead and vile pieces of shit. Like, and I was chatting with my friend and partner Extra White earlier this day, and he's like, Poll is already ready to like destroy them. They've already got the memes already made. They already know what's going to happen, and it's going to be beautiful to watch all this play itself out over the course of the next 6 months, because they made a really big mistake in actually leaking this this draft, which, aside from the fact that they should have never done that, but the best they're going to be able to do is what? Mobilize a whole bunch of racist white women, so that everybody can figure out that, so all the black and Hispanic women can figure out that white women really do want their babies, you know, not born. Like, this is the part that they just don't get. It's and it's going to be beautiful to watch, because they're actually probably going to alienate even more people. Anthony Alpha is asking me what's this going to do to the election calculus for the midterms. It's going to make it worse for them. So, it is. I mean, look, because Alito in the draft opinion addressed all of these things. He addressed the disproportionate impact of abortion on minorities. And notice the people who are out there today. It's all these freaking spinsters. It's all these rich white women running around going, "Get your hands off my body, and we can't have this." I'm like, well, why? None of you are gonna have any fucking children anymore. Well, like, who the fuck would fuck you in the first place? To quote George Carlin, do you ever notice that women are against abortion and women wouldn't want to fuck in the first place? Like, no one's fucking Elizabeth Warren at this point. Like, and then they're running around going, we'll just go and get horse medicine from the vet in order to be able to have our abortion pills. Like, it's insane how they've already reacted and gone that far in the first 24 hours. And I'm dead serious when I say it. Like, have they not realized just how ludicrous they already look? Like, life isn't Twitter, people. You don't make policy based on a bunch of, you know, reading bots on Twitter. Like, you're not the majority. The majority of people want to have babies, and they like babies, and they want to procreate, and they want to have families. And abortion is gross. And understand that this isn't really even about abortion. But that's the way they're going to radicalize these white suburban women, and who are not going to be prepared for the backlash at all. Like, psychologically, they're not going to be prepared for the backlash at all when Black and Hispanic women go to the polls and vote en masse against them. They just are not going to get it. So, yeah. Joe Vostichek's back. Hello, Joe. He's back in the stream. It's funny that you're here tonight, but yes, you're absolutely right. He says, you can't make this kind of hypocrisy up. If I wrote it in a novel, it'd be panned for being too unbelievable. Like 3 months ago, they were screaming at us that, you don't have a choice to get the fucking vaccine. And now today it's like my body, my choice all over again. It's like, excuse me, you've already lost on the body sovereignty issue. You're championing these theoretic women who can't afford to have a baby, so they have to abort it. Like, I forget the fact that the state in any guise should be involved in this decision. On this point, as a hardcore libertarian, I really do believe that the state should not be involved in this decision at all, pro or con. But Roe v. Wade was an assault on the basic idea of federalism. But the states don't have agency here to decide what they want to do. It's not a right. It was a bad decision originally. It should have never gone above the state level. The state has plenary policing power. The states do. The federal government does not. Throw it back to the states and let them individually decide what they're going to do. And if you think for a moment that it's such a disparate impact for, a young Black girl to not be able to drive across state lines to go have an abortion, that she, like, if you can't afford the $500 or $1,000 to, like, drive from Florida to, I don't know, pick a state that's, to Missouri, for example. Like, what does it cost to drive from Florida to Missouri? $500? Seriously? Like, you can't come up with that? You can't find some advocacy group that will pitch in the money for you? Like, this is the part that pisses me off more than anything else when you really stop to think about it. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? The actual costs. No, the problem here is that they want state-subsidized abortion. They want taxpayers to subsidize this process, to subsidize the cost, when local taxpayers don't want to pay this cost. They don't want it as part of their taking up doctors' times and putting that stress on the healthcare system and on the mental health professionals for the PTSD and all the other attendant effects that go along with this process, except for the crazy ones who celebrate their 32 abortions, use the shit as birth control, which in itself is disgusting. Like, I picked Missouri insufferable butthole because I'm just thinking like how far would they have to drive to go to a state that would have it? Maryland, pick one. It doesn't really freaking matter. I'm thinking Florida. You got to drive up I-95 a few states and then go get the thing done. Like, the whole idea, like that, we're allowed to have advocacy groups, and worse, it's not even that. They like, why can't we? We're not allowed. Not allowed to have advocacy groups to try and help women, who are scared to have the child or don't feel they can afford to have the child. Like, we can have advocacy groups that help them with the cost of bearing the child so that we can, then get that child into a wanted family and adopt it out, right? We can do that. Well, why can't we do the same? Why can't they do the same thing? Why can't they put up their own freaking money? You so desperately want to help these women who you feel need to be able to have ready access to an abortion. Well, there's some state in the union is going to allow it, even if it's California. Like, pool the money. Like, all these freaking these rich white suburban women who are so freaking outraged by this, fine, fuck you. Put $50 into a fucking pot, you fucking harpies. If y'all did that, there'd be more than enough money in a local pot and a local advocacy group's bank account to fly these women out to California where they can, murder their baby 7 days after it's fucking born. It's retarded. Just ridiculous. Post the link to Odyssey before YouTube pulls the plug. There you go. There's the link to the Odyssey stream, FYI. I'm going to be done. I'm going to be leaving here in about 5 minutes to go over to Odyssey. The link is in the chat. If somebody would like make that part of the thing. Yeah, I don't even want to get into whether or not abortion is murder or not. That's my personal opinion. But again, I'll leave this, but my personal opinion is irrelevant. I don't want the state involved in this in any way, manner, shape, or form. This should be between a woman and her doctor, and ultimately, but the state should also have the right to say, we have these states. If the community decides that they want to ban abortion, well, they're going to ban abortion. Ideally, philosophically, I think the state shouldn't be involved. We live in a world where that's not the case. So if here in Florida we say, nothing past 15 weeks, then carry the thing to term and work it out. And if you really don't want the baby, that's fine. Someone will be willing to adopt it. Like, this is not about abortion. It never has been about abortion. It's always been about something far different than that. It's always been about separating women from their most basic function as a person. Like a month ago, we couldn't decide. We couldn't define what a woman was and what a woman wasn't. And we were supposed to like properly gender people. Like, oh, by the way, And now today we're like, oh, I'm a woman, and they're like. So a month ago you couldn't figure out what the fuck a woman was, and today you're like trying to define what her rights are. Like, you people are just out of your minds. Greg Krockenberger, spend their own money on helping. Oh yeah, because they don't want to spend money on helping. I would think they'd want to spend money on their own, on making sure that some horrible little black child isn't born into the world. But then again, who would stock the shelves of Trader Joe's for the Chardonnay, right, Greg? Because they want to spend their money on that, but then as long as that black kid grows up to stock the shelves over Trader Joe's of their Pinot, then I guess it's okay. No, this is actually about fucking organ harvesting and about stem cell harvesting. No, Dexter White was absolutely right about this when we were talking about this in the last podcast that he and I did. He's like, the whole 7 days, to allow women to have, to not be held liable for any infant death after 7 days after birth is purely so that they can harvest fully differentiated stem cells. I'm not gonna kid you. That's the reality. That's what this is about. Pay women to be artificially inseminated with their Uber baby and then kill it for the stem cells. That's what this shit's really about. And they've radicalized a whole bunch of middle-class women into thinking that they have some kind of, that they're somehow empowered by murdering their unborn child. I love the fact that they've now replaced the pussy hat with the fucking hanger. Like, they're gonna all walk. It'd be one thing if they were all did that, the Handmaid's Tale thing, and at least there was they walked around. That'd be one thing. But this is hilarious. Like, you can take plastic hangers and put them on your head. Like, are they all gonna walk around like Steve fucking Martin from the 70s with an arrow, with a coat hanger around their heads? It'd be hilarious. Is Roe the last vestige of the 70s cultural movement being swept away, or is leftism of the 70s never truly leftist and we're witnessing a cultural earthquake? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't think the leftism of the 70s has ever left us. I think it's been nurtured by very evil people into a kind of cultural psychosis that now, when they're having the same kind of psychotic break now that they had the day that Trump was elected. They don't understand that they're not in the majority. They don't understand that their arguments were always bullshit. They don't understand that they've lost. They've pushed things so far. They've lost everyone's respect. Because, I mean, in the past, we just kind of went along with this shit. It's like, okay, they're never going to get to the point where they're going to start harvesting, 7-day-old babies. Like that. I know that's not what they really want to do. Like, that's ludicrous. They'd never want to do that. Well, then, California is like trying to get this law passed. It's incredible. But, and they yelled at us and they made fun of us in the 70s and the 80s for slippery slope arguments. And yet, we're at the bottom of the slippery slope and we're like walling around in the fucking pig shit. And they're still saying, oh, it's not a slippery slope, dude. I'm like, no, yeah, I know, you're right. The slippery slope's way back up there. What are we fucking doing down here? Unbelievable. That's what we got. It's all about organ harvesting. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, I'm going to be moving over to Odyssey where, where things will get even worse from here. Because if you didn't like this, don't come to Odyssey. Oy. And then we'll do open Q&A and a whole bunch of other things. All right. So that's what I got for right now. I'm done. I think it's phenomenal. I'm going to enjoy watching the Democrats lose their minds. Maybe somebody will finally just, slap Elizabeth Warren. But, she's protected. She's protected white harpy. So that's not going to, whatever. You know what I mean. All right, you guys be well. You take care. We'll talk soon. We'll talk on Odyssey in about 2 minutes. Keep your stick on the ice.